Hello, my name is Andrea Price, and I'm so elated to have this opportunity to share with you some of the experiences and new insights that I have gained over the last 8 weeks. These past 8 weeks has truly provided me with invaluable resources to improve my communication skill. It has inspired me to strive to become an effective communicator and to work towards having what I refer to as beautiful conversations with everyone that I meet. Next slide. In this brief summary of my journey, I will share and discuss my personal behavior blend and how it influenced my conversation, identify potential barriers, external and internal noise pollution, and discuss my action plan to reach my communication goals. Next slide. Having a beautiful conversation with everyone I come in contact with is my overarching goal. I want to become an effective, empathetic, and compassionate listener, to have fierce conversation, and to become the doorway and the vessel that develops the next in the conversation that help others and myself move from the impersonal to the interpersonal side of the communication scale. Next slide. So how do I get there? The first step has already been accomplished, which was to discover my personal behavior blend. Carbonell indicates that when individuals identifies their two graphs and focus on the explanation, their efficiency of working with others will be improved. Next slide. Carbonell explains that the behavior blend has two sections that specify two different graphs showing what is expected of a person and who the person truly is. Next slide. My personal behavior blend, from a public perspective, what is expected is type S, and from a private perspective, what is truly me is type CIS. Next slide. My blend suggests that I can be both outgoing and reserved, as well as both active and passive. I have strong people skills. I can be a little indecisive and over the top about getting the facts and accuracies. I am liked by people and very good with impressing people when sharing thoughts and observation about a task or a problem. But I can turn people off by negative opinion and being critical. I don't necessarily have to be in charge. However, I prefer leaders who know where they're going, how to get there without wasting time, energy, and expensive. Next slide. My personal behavior blends reveals some true traits about me. They imply that my vision and passion is helping others. I have strong desires to help people and work through conflicts and build better relationships with one another. A deeper understanding of my personal blend and conducting a self-awareness checklist, checkpoint periodically, can improve to be beneficial while on this journey of learning and to reach my overarching goal to help others to become better communicators. Next slide. I have learned that effective communication leads to better personal and working relationship. And effective communication is important to respect one another and to learn to truly listen to others' point of views and to try to understand where they're coming from. Carbonell expresses that communication is essential to life. Next slide. Stewart concurs by stating that our work, our relationship, and our very lives succeeds and fail one conversation at a time. He further suggests that we should engage in fierce conversations, one in which we make it real. Stewart explains that relationship exists in the conversation, that the conversation is the relationship. He also explains that self is produced in the relationship, and the relationship are produced from two cells or two people who have communication connections. Next slide. My desire is to make my relationship stronger with others by improving my communication and helping others to do the same. As stated earlier, the conversation is the relationship. In order to enlarge my conversation, my communication, and as I navigate the conversation, I must be mindful of the conversation, because if the conversation stops, so does the relationship. Next slide. Berger, Began, and Waldron suggest effective mindful communication can be instrumental in attaining inherently and not inherently social goals, such as obtaining material goods and services, or persuading an adolescent to abstain from smoking and establish long-term business relationship, or perhaps persuading a young girl to abstain from sexual relationships in an attempt to prevent unwanted pregnancy, unhealthy relationship, or sexually transmitted diseases. Next slide. Conversely, however, Berger and his colleagues warns that as one engage in mindful process, heightened attentions to the communication process any potential benefits that might accumulate to communicators through increased mindfulness and attention to details could offset the debilitating effects of negative effect on the processing of these details. Next slide. Along with the possible negative effects of process of heightening attention derived from mindful conversation process, there are some barriers and noise pollutions in my communication process that I must continue to be aware of while on this journey. Some barriers that I have been identified while taking this course are my bad habits of selective listening, advising rather than truly listening, prejudging the speaker, and disrespectfully interrupting during the conversation. There are also noise pollution that negatively impact my communication, which are fatigue, emotional listening, and hearing what I want to hear. Some solutions to my barriers and noise pollution include self-awareness, refraining from solving the talker's problem, practicing listening with understanding, and avoid being critical and judgmental, active listening, not allowing the past to dictate how I listen, and asking for understanding and clarity and focusing on one thing at a time. Next slide. As I conclude this summary with my plan of action to achieve my overarching goals, one major factor that I have attained from these studies is the importance of becoming an empathetic listener. Empathetic listening is the success driver in the communication process. Next slide. Hayesvik states that listening is the single most effective approach to problem solving. Burley Allen also explained that the way you listen to and respond to others will strongly influence how they respond back to you and how they will feel about your response, such as wanting to continue to talk, feeling turned off or understood, tense or relaxed. Therefore, to attain my goal of beautiful conversation, I must practice at becoming an expert in empathetic listening. Next slide. I'm a work in progress, and I know that it would be challenging for me to reach my ultimate goal of having beautiful conversation with everyone I meet. However, I'm willing to continue on this lifetime journey. I say lifetime because there are powerful forces of society, and each of us develops our identity as we communicate. Therefore, because the conversation is marked by how a person behaves or responds to others, it also makes the process challenging. Next slide. While facing the difficulties that come with the communication process journey, I must be willing to engage in fierce conversation, to check myself when necessary through self-awareness pit stops. To avoid those moments of thud, I might have to bite my tongue when necessary. Peterson explains that thud moments occur as a result of flat brain syndromes. Next slide. Peterson also explains that we should make a radical attempt to deviant behavior, shift our goals from winning to understanding and the conversation. He explains that this is the fundamental attitude adjustment, as also called putting love in action. Next slide. In Corinthians 15, chapter 31, Apostle Paul states, I die daily. This passage is a good reminder to me that I must continue to die to bad communication habits. Therefore, I must practice my new skills daily to achieve my goals. Next slide. Finally, with God in front, achieving my overarching goals is possible because with God, all things are possible. Thank you for this opportunity. May God bless you and keep you.